Hello everybody, Pastor Steve Green again. This is our second refresh message for this week. Today is Thursday, July 2nd. Our title is Loving Others but Not Being Manipulated. Yesterday we emphasized that love recognizes the need in other people for them to fulfill their responsibility in life. That's part of loving somebody, is recognizing they have to fulfill their responsibilities. We cannot do it for them. Sometimes love gets inverted, it gets twisted around into thinking if only we loved people more, then they actually wouldn't have to fulfill their responsibilities in life. It's our love would just somehow fill the gap and fill the void, and everything would be good for them because we love them so much. And that simply isn't true. Again, allow me to say it again. When I love other people, the love of God in me toward other people will recognize that other people need to do the same thing. They also need to be lovers, and they will never find lasting success and happiness other than through that. If we know this, it becomes much more difficult for people to manipulate us through guilt, blame, accusation, crying, begging, pleading, anything and everything that would suggest that you are responsible for their state of affairs. This is something that we're not going to be moved by. Now, mind you, the other side of the coin is that it is our responsibility to love other people. So that's going to involve a significant investment in them. So we're not talking about, distancing ourselves or being cold to other people or saying your life is your fault. We will love them, and as we're saying, the love of God will recognize that they need to man up or woman up. They need to have faith. They need to step out. They need to give their life to Christ. They need to follow Him. And that is the only way it's going to work for them. Think of your own children for a moment. Now, you may have younger children. Now, unlike most relationships we have in which we are not responsible for the other person, when it comes to younger children, we obviously, and they're our children, then we obviously are responsible for them. We're always responsible to people. Most often we're not responsible for them. But thinking of the case of our younger children, part of our responsibility regarding them is to teach them and train them. So are you finding with your kids age-appropriate responsibilities for them to assume? Just from a very, very young age, children can begin to assume certain responsibilities. You need to, gauge and judge, what is appropriate. Are you, here's another question, are you inadvertently helping them to become manipulators? Now, I know most parents don't want to raise manipulators, but, do we permit our children just to beg and to plead and to cry and to try, and fuss and just, not be happy until they get what they want? And, you may want to have a look at that. I just want to share one story quickly. A whole different example right now is many years ago I was shopping for a desktop computer, and I was in Edmonton, which is a city close by, of course, and I went into a store that sold desktop computers, and I had no intention of buying. I didn't want to buy that day. I just wasn't ready. I wanted to do more research, but I just wanted to check around a little bit, get a bit of information. So I began speaking to a salesman, and I let them know I'm not here to buy anything today, just gathering some information. But they started begging. I've never in my life, either before or since, had such exactly this kind of occasion. I shouldn't say never. Overseas, sometimes in markets, people will actually grab you and pull you and things like that. But here in North America, I've never had a situation like this where the salesman was just pleading. He was begging me to buy this computer. He was saying, what could he do? He was trying to, add things in, to make it, to give me incentive. He was trying to reduce the price. What can he? And he was just begging and I was saying no. And to my shame, and I really mean that, I hate admitting this, but to my shame, after some period of time, and he was sweetening the pot, and finally I gave in. And, I shouldn't have, even with all the pot sweeteners. It didn't feel right at the time. And, that was probably the least reliable desktop computer we ever owned over all the years. I regretted doing it. again, it just isn't right to be engaged on either side of that type of thing, the begging and pleading. And I didn't serve my best interest by buying that, and I didn't serve his either. I just reinforced for him that perhaps that's an effective way of living. So in any case, thank you for joining us today, and we will be with you again tomorrow.